Hi, and welcome to Hoffman's Hot Seat. I'm Tom Hoffman with One-to-One Media, and I'm joined today by James Buckley, who's Senior Vice President and General Manager of Customer Data and Location Intelligence at Pitney Bowes Software. And today, James and I will be talking about some of the emerging trends that are taking place in the use of location-based intelligence. James, thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning, no problem.
So, James, what are some of the emerging trends you're seeing in terms of how companies are starting to push the envelope with the use of location-based intelligence?
So I think there's a couple of things that are driving that. And I mean, if you think about the amount to which we use mapping technologies and geospatial technologies in our day-to-day lives now, it's meant that as consumers, we understand the value of that technology. We understand how it helps us in our daily lives. How that's playing out in the enterprise is in a couple of ways. First, I think people have a better understanding about the utility of it, and that's meaning from a end user perspective in enterprises, there's an expectation that you've got access to technologies that help you be more productive, that are location-based. Right. And the second part of it is really all around the analytics. So if you look at about 80% of business data has some sort of location component to it. And traditionally, the geospatial industry is focused on these very niche, specialized technical analysts who are trying to solve specific problems like store network optimization or where should I build the next cell tower in the telecommunications world. And what that's now coming to is how do I use that data much more productively? And as smartphones have taken hold, there's an explosion in that amount of location data. So the companies that I think are going to win in this market in the future are those that are able to make sense of that data from an analytics perspective and help organizations get some insight from it that they can actually make useful. So for example, in the marketing sense, it's about understanding lifestyle. So you can build through mobile applications and the location services on our smartphones, you can start building a picture of what sort of lifestyle you today enjoy. Where do you work? Where do you live? Where do you like to frequent? And that then allows marketeers to provide you with much more relevant marketing messages if they have that kind of insight into behavior.
Absolutely.
And so that's a key thing. The other thing about that is then how do you deliver the analytics? And again, I think companies in the geospatial industry who are able to provide their clients with the software, the algorithms, to do that analysis, and then the really rich, user-friendly visualization that we've got used to, coming back to that consumer world, that can mean you can get access to that information, you can analyze it. I think that's where you're going to see the market starting to go. People are going to expect that sort of user experience. They're going to expect the really, really smart analytics behind it.
Sure. You and I were speaking earlier about how many people often equate location intelligence with walking past the Starbucks, let's say, and receiving an offer. What are some of the other ways that companies are really pushing the use of location intelligence in other ways that people might not be aware of?
So yeah, you're right. That's a real cliche, location-based marketing. And there is a utility for that kind of use case. And definitely, there's research that suggests providing people a relevant location-based offer certainly means you get a better uptake of that offer. But if you look at, for example, what our social media clients are doing, Facebook and Twitter and others, they're doing a few things with location intelligence that are relevant in that world. They're providing a better user experience. So Facebook's check-in function powered by Pitney Bowes, Twitter where you're geolocating tweets, again that's Pitney Bowes data that's sitting behind that and powering that. But then these companies are able to take that data and then they're helping those organizations. They're helping organizations that they want to provide advertising services to by doing that analytics using that data. And I think that's the big trend is it's the analysis behind the location data you're gathering, which then helps inform a marketing or advertising strategy more than it's about, I'm going to send you a voucher for a cup of coffee because you're walking past a coffee outlet.
So can you also speak to how organizations might be able to blend location intelligence with CRM data?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a really interesting area, and we have a number of clients, both in our near-term pipeline and that we're talking to about exactly these issues. And I think there's two things. There's productivity aids where location intelligence can really help. So, whereas you think about mobile workforces, and I mean, it's been a significant benefit to organizations in terms of reducing cost and driving up productivity using mobile technology around their workforces. And CRM systems are obviously one of those critical tools. So from a productivity aid perspective, it's what we've called in the spatial world for a long time the traveling salesman problem. So using routing technology to optimize your day, figure out, if I've got to visit 5 of my clients today, where are they? How do I optimize that? And then providing productivity aids like simple reminders. If I've left this building, right, after this client visit, I need to do my visit report, reminding you because it's location aware, it knows where you are at the time. And then also using things like real-time traffic data and other data to help you figure out how long it's going to take you to get from place to place. So there's certainly that productivity for a mobile workforce that I think CRM vendors are getting really interested in right now. And then the second part of it is, again, it's coming back to building that complete picture of a customer. So, understanding my customers in their overall context. For a long time, you've got a customer's mailing address, you know something about their neighborhood, you know something about the demographics, you can start building that simple picture of who they are. If you add location to that, and you have an ecosystem that includes a mobile application, you can start building a much richer picture of who your customer base, what your customer base looks like, what it might be interested in, and when you could drive messages or communications to them.
Right. As we were talking before about retail applications for location intelligence, I was also curious to know if you could share with us what are some things that executives are missing out on if they're not using location intelligence, particularly in other industries outside of retail. What are some things that they could be doing with location intelligence?
Well, I think there's a couple of things, and one of the big markets that we think is going to be pretty significant for location intelligence, just generally in enterprise software, irrespective of the market, is, I talked about, if you think about big data as a trend and you think about smartphones and how much extra location data there is, business intelligence technologies provide access to that data today through an enterprise, but they aren't particularly well location enabled. And the opportunity to provide just a spatial view of your business data to help you make a different set of decisions or change the way you might think about my network or my clients, or and I think that's both an asset view, right? Where are my assets in relation to my clients, or where are my clients in relation to my network? And that could be a physical store network, it could be in a retail banking case, my bank branches, or it could be in relation to a telecommunications company. Where are you in relation to my cell coverage? And so these sorts of questions today of business intelligence, really nice dashboarding, a lot of neat visualization, but the richness of spatial is not there yet. And that's one of the things we're seeking to provide today is we're pretty excited about our new capabilities in that area, because we think that business intelligence buyers are going to see the value of that and are going to look for being able to visualize data on maps.
Right. So I would imagine too that with the emergence of the Internet of Things and wearable technologies, that this also creates incredible opportunities and new applications that could be developed.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the next wave. And again, I think it'll be optimizing the consumer experience through location analytics, and the Internet of Things is going to be a big part of that. You're right, wearable devices, and what aren't we going to have that's not going to have a sensor in it. And then I think in the enterprise space, it's going to be high value mobile capital equipment, and you think about an industry like healthcare, where extremely expensive capital equipment is becoming smaller and more mobile. Think about MRI machines, for example, and the need in healthcare to drive the cost curve down and optimize the use of that sort of equipment is going to become, I think, really, really persistent, and that's going to drive a need for more location intelligence in some of those industries. And the same applies to mobile workforces. If you think about, again, healthcare, I think is a great example, because you've got a very high cost workforce. You want to be optimizing how you're deploying those resources, and you're going to want to deploy them, more locally as we drive healthcare out, to be a more local business than these large centralized hospitals.
Sure,
networks.
yeah, that's a great example. You had touched on this before with some clients, some Pitney Bowes clients such as Facebook. Can you also point to examples of some clients that are using location intelligence in some innovative ways?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a lot of them out there. I mean, the social media clients are really progressive. They have very specific requirements that we're helping them meet, and obviously they're at the leading edge of technology, so they push us a long way. There are certainly a lot of clients in a lot of different industries that are maturing rapidly. A really good example is one that I think we talk about in the press release we made today around our Spectrum Spatial product, Domino's Pizza in Australia, and they're using location intelligence to optimize their sales territories, make sure that their franchise network is optimized, and then taking that analysis and operationalizing it in the sense that they can route you directly to the right store through a web inquiry or telephone inquiry. And the way they're doing that is using our location intelligence technology. You can't do that smartly unless you understand exactly what those sales territories are. And that's another thing that I think we'll see is even just what's been in the geographic information systems world as a simple thing for a long time. Those sorts of things are becoming much more ubiquitous and much more needed around the world.
Sure. James, I also wanted to ask for executives that are considering location intelligence, the use of it, but haven't really taken the first steps yet. What are some recommendations for getting started?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think getting started is look at what you've already got. What's your footprint in your organization today? So what is the data that I have that exists that has a location component to it? And then, I would encourage, obviously, those executives to come and talk to us because we can help in terms of getting more insight into that, and we can help with technology that will allow you to visualize it and unlock some value in it. But also, to some extent, more importantly, you also need other data to put that in context. So if I have just a really, really simple example, I've got all the addresses of my customers. What I really want to be able to do is enrich that data. So you've got to be able to geocode it. You've got to be able to bring in other reference data like geodemographics to start driving that insight. And there aren't many companies that know how to do that at scale and do that for very complex large enterprises, and Pitney Bowes is one of them.
Great. Well, James, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.